will Westbrook lead the Wizards to the playoffs? And I said this on Twitter. My hot take this year is that the Atlanta Hawks won't make the playoffs. I think even with the free agency like Danilo Gallinari, they got all those players. I think even with that free agency, they're not going to make the playoffs. Their defense really concerns me. The Wizards just got Westbrook coming off a year averaging 27, 8, and 7 on the best efficiency of his career. I think Bradley Beal is a budding star player in the NBA. And when you look back to Russell Westbrook in OKC 2016, 6 in the West, 47 wins. Their lineup was Oladipo, Roberson, Adams, and Sabonis. Rookie year, Domantas Sabonis, who wasn't very good. There is no spacing on this team whatsoever. And now Westbrook is going to a team with Davis Bertans, Troy Brown Jr., Bradley Beal, Thomas Bryant, who shoots 40%. I think he's going to have a ton of spacing on his team. And I wouldn't rule out him averaging another triple-double. I think he can, and I think the Wizards are going to make the playoffs this season with Russell Westbrook.
Hold on, I got to comment. I got to bring the voice down. Excuse me, y'all. I'm actually really excited to see the Washington Wizards play. I like the spacing that they provided. Well, not provided, it was already there, but I like the spacing that Westbrook is, and I like the fact that Bradley Beal is a very versatile scorer. I like that he can sit there, like he kind of gives me the Paul George mode in the sense that he can be a spot up shooter, he can come off the screen, he can turn into a JJ Redick if you do need him to, but he can also go get his own. So I like that he's a pretty good complementary scorer to Westbrook, or he can be that number one guy if you need him to be. Now for Westbrook, I really feel like this is going to be a big thing for him, and I think with all those shooters out there, putting out a lineup with Beal, Berton, Bryant, Westbrook, and Denny, defense is going to be questionable, but in terms of shooting the ball, that's a great lineup. And even if you put Rui out there, the pick and roll is going to be special.
He's a slasher.
Yeah, I like this team a lot, and I think if they can get it together, that bench is going to have a couple guys on there too. But I like this team going forward. And I think Washington can definitely push up in the race. I think they can be better than Indiana, honestly. So I think they can.
I think so too.
I think they can push up in the 6-5 ranking. And with Philly, with all their problems in the regular season, we don't know how they're going to be. Brooklyn's probably going to deal with some injuries. They can get a good seed and they can make some noise in the playoffs. Now, come playoff time, I don't know what they're going to do, but I definitely see them as making the playoffs easily.
I mean, I think Russell Westbrook is easily a top 10 player in the Eastern Conference now that he's there. I said a couple of days ago top 5, but then I went down a list and I said no way he's top 5. But he's definitely a top 10 player in the East. And when you look at the other teams that they're going to be competing with, because I think there are 6 locks. Mm-hmm. The Raptors, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Nets, the Sixers, and the Heat.
Say those again?
6 locks to be in the East. The Raptors, the Celtics, the Heat, the Sixers. Mm-hmm. I think I mentioned the Bucks and the Nets.
Are we sure to say Indiana's a lock?
I didn't say Indiana.
Oh, okay, because I don't know if they're a lock.
But I think there's such a well-rounded team that they'll end up making it.
Yeah.
But so that means to me it's between Charlotte, Orlando, and Atlanta.
I think with the missing Isaac for the season is going to really hurt Orlando. I don't think they get in.
They were 11th in defense last year. That's probably going to drop. Easily. Charlotte was 25th in defense. Atlanta was 28th in defense.
That's probably
and Washington was 29th in defense.
I don't see Westbrook bringing that up to probably like.
I think Westbrook could bring it up just because last year they started Ish Smith.
I think he could bring it up 1-2 spots. I think Atlanta's defense is going to go up. Washington's defense is going to. I think Orlando's defense is going to drop tremendously because Isaac does so much on the defensive end, and I think they're probably going to come out. But I will say, I think Washington easily, in terms of seeding, they can be a top 6 seed because teams take a team. They gave us the leeway to take off games this year, so KD and Kyrie are going to take off a lot of games this year. Giannis is probably going to take off some games. Probably not. He's probably going to play every game.
When the Eastern Conference, the Magic and the Nets both made the playoffs without a winning record. And I think with this team, with the amount of spacing on this team, Westbrook could have them at least at a winning record. And if you can have a winning record in the East, you'll win. I'm still very hesitant to pick the Hawks because I think their defense, even with Capella, is going to be pretty bad. I really do. I think Trae Young is just a huge liability, and he's going to get hunted down on a consistent basis. So I don't know. I just think I believe in Westbrook, and I still think he can play at an all-star level.
I think looking at the teams, looking at Orlando, Atlanta, Charlotte, and Washington, the only guy who's led a team a bad team as Westbrook. So I have to put my money on the guy who's done it before. Even he played well last year. He just had the knee injury, that messed him up a little bit. But I just don't see a situation where Westbrook misses the playoffs, especially with Bradley Beal. And they were in the playoffs. Well, they were in the hunt last year. So what were they, 28 and 33 and 40 something last year?
I don't know, but they were in the bubble in the play.
Yeah, they were like 5 games out of 500. I think Westbrook puts them up 10, 15 more games.
And Westbrook's also said that he's going to make what he's trying to do is make life easier for Bradley Beal, and he's trying to maximize the player that he is. And look, Westbrook last year with Harden played with the first leading scorer in the NBA and James Harden. Now this year he's going to play with the second in Bradley Beal. And I think for Westbrook, it's much easier to play with Bradley Beal because Bradley Beal is nowhere near as ball dominant as James Harden. And Bradley Beal's really good at coming off the screens. He's a good spot-up shooter. He's going to be active on that side of the ball when he's off the ball. So I think Westbrook gets to run his show. He gets to inflate his assist numbers up, and and Bradley Beal's going to get his shots too.
And what people fail to get is Paul George's MVP season. And Paul George, even the season before that, he shot 40% from the three-point line. And that was him coming off screens and down pins, and that was Westbrook being the guy. Even during Paul George's MVP season, he ran the show a little bit, but he also did a lot of that coming off down screens, and Westbrook was just being a passer. And I can see that this year with more of the spacing they have, Westbrook just being a passer. And because when he played with Paul George, you saw a lot of what we could see in Westbrook, the stop and going, the change of direction, the pace. Like, he had a little IQ then with knowing when to turn it up and when not to. So I see that in Washington with all the shooters, him knowing when not to and when to turn it up and all that. So I like this fit, and I think they're going to be a sleeper team in the East.
I think so too. And I think Westbrook brings a sense of intensity to their team and leadership. And I think that's what a team like that needs. And I think it's good that they traded John Wall because John Wall is not a sure thing. You don't know how he's going to come back. So to trade John Wall for an MVP caliber player and Westbrook at his best, I think it was a steal for them, to be honest.
Absolutely.